Welcome to the Quick Time Event Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Josh, and as always, I am joined by my partner in crime, John.
Yo!
The Quick Time Event Podcast is a chance for John and I to get together each and every week to talk about all of the nerdy things that we love. It is finally E3 time, everybody. It has been over 2 years since the last time we have had an E3 time podcast. And it's still not quite right. Still kind of weird.
No.
But we're getting back to some semblance of normality. Now, I say some semblance of normality. I want everybody to do me a favor right now. Go to twitter.com, go to the Bird app. Go to twitter.com/Josh Clasen. Go to my little tweet feed, whatever. And look at the GIF I just posted to advertise this live stream. I typed E3 into the GIF search on Twitter, and this horrifying monstrosity was one of the first things to return. So I had to use it. Now, should I have used it? Maybe not. It is a horrific Mario that appears to be like strapped to a wall.
Oh yeah,
looking over people.
He's getting electrocuted.
Yeah, it's horrifying. I don't know what that's about, but yeah, it's E3 time. We're going to be doing our predictions this week for E3. A little bit different because the press conferences are a little bit different, but we will get into all of that later in the show. For now, let's just get caught up. It's been a little bit. We podcasted last week, right? Or no?
No, because we did Extra Life
That's
to
right.
Electric Boogaloo, and we were like, we're tired.
Sure. So it's been a minute. What have you been up to, John? You finally finished all those Marvel stuff?
No. The last 2 weeks have been just like very different, I guess is the best way to put them. Because after the stream, after the 24-hour or 19-hour, we cut it a little bit short. Extra Life 2 Electric Boogaloo stream. A very good friend of mine's mom came into town. She's basically my second mom. So like she was there for Memorial Day weekend, so I like went to the zoo with them and like hung out with them a lot. So like that weekend after gaming for so much was pretty much shot in terms of like having free time. And then this past weekend I bounced out to Chicago and stopped by the Indiana Dunes National Park. So like either somebody was in town or I was visiting somebody else for the majority of my weekend free time. So I really didn't play or watch too much. I did watch because I was sad the one night when I took Lady to somebody to pet sit since I was going to be gone. And I got back and like I realized it was the first time I'd been apart from my dog in about 15 months. Cause like I haven't traveled.
Sure.
So I've seen her just every single day. I haven't even gone to like the office.
Yeah.
So like it hit me whenever I like stepped out of the shower and my dog wasn't in a normal spot. And I was like, oh, I'm depressed.
Just think about how she felt.
Yeah. Well, she was with somebody that she loves.
She didn't
so
give a
like
shit.
it's fine. I was alone. But I did watch, not that this really pertains to this podcast, but I watched have you seen Monsters vs. Aliens? I'd never actually seen it before.
What is that? Is that like
It's like
from the Alien franchise?
Pixar movie?
Oh.
No. It's very
Because it sounds
cute.
like Alien vs. Predator.
No. God, no. It's that one with the I don't know how to like describe it. Just look it up. You'll recognize it once you see the characters. But like, holy hell is the voice acting cast stacked. Do you not recognize this movie?
No.
Okay, well it's a pretty good feel-good movie. It was
DreamWorks.
The humor was very fun.
Oh,
Like the plot
actually,
wasn't anything crazy to
you know
write
what?
home about,
I don't recognize this movie at all, but I do recognize the blue blob character played by Seth Rogen. Only because I recognize when I see that, like I see Seth Rogen's face in the weird, what's that called? Cyclops looking blob, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's Reese Witherspoon, Seth Rogen, Hugh Laurie, Will Arnett, Kiefer Sutherland, Rainn Wilson, Paul Rudd, and Stephen Colbert.
Stephen Colbert plays the president, and it's perfect.
Yeah, no, I do not recognize this movie.
If you need a feel-good movie or just a pick-me-up or whatever, and it's only an hour and a half, I would highly encourage you to check it out if you've got the time. It's, again, story-wise and plot-wise, it's pretty predictable. It's not earth-shattering.
Sure.
But
I mean, it's a DreamWorks movie. How good could it be?
But like the humor and just the voice acting and the voice actors themselves, it was just so fun. But yeah, God, what have I done? Obviously I've watched more One Piece. I got past episode whenever the time skip is, so I'm in.
Oh, nice.
I'm finally in the, like, I guess current-ish
I would say
area.
you're in the end game now, but no.
I'm in the second half of what's currently out, that's for sure. I played some Apex, but not too much, and I plan on starting once I completely finish up Final Fantasy, because that's still not done either. But I think I plan on starting Doom 2016 next. Because I've had that for a while. I played like the first 3 missions and I had a good time with it. And then I think I moved and then I just never picked it back up because life got chaotic and I was moving.
It's relatively short. If you're not trying to like 100% it.
I'm not going to.
It's probably 15 to 18 hours.
I used to really be into like the gamer score and achievements, basically the way you are with trophies. I think that part of me's he's sleeping for now.
I will say with Doom 2016, I remember that being a pretty fun list.
That's
because
fair.
The way like
if it's fun and like if it's
actually it is fun. No. It is fun. It's just that there are some collectibles that are like kind of well hidden. So like you would probably I remember following a guide now because there's these bobbleheads or like squeaker toys almost that you pick up.
Oh, okay.
And they're kind of well hidden if I remember correctly. But otherwise it's like it's pretty easy to 100%. At least like getting all the power-ups and stuff. And that obviously helps out with the gameplay and makes it more fun because you start to feel like a fucking god, which is why those games are so fun.
Sure.
But yeah, it's probably, if you just like play through the story just to experience the story, I would say 15 hours probably.
Okay. That's all I plan on doing. So that's next up on the docket after I, like I said, wrap up Final Fantasy. And then I did start Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I watched the first episode and it's good. I just like I said, I've just been busy. And like the one time that my partner in crime who I'm watching this show with, the one time we were both free over the last 2 weeks was actually the night that we watched Monsters vs. Aliens, and I was depressed. So we were like, let's not watch something happy.
Let's not watch a piece of entertainment that focuses heavily on critical race theory. Let's watch something mind numbing.
Exactly. But yeah, it's just been not very much nerdy podcast stuff, but very, very much I don't know, kind of quasi getting back to quote unquote normal life for me.
Sure. I said I was going to take breaks between Mass Effect. I was planning on playing Shin Megami Tensei 3 Remastered, and then I was planning on playing Ratchet and Clank, which isn't out yet. It comes out tomorrow. But I went straight from Mass Effect 1 into Mass Effect 2, blew through Mass Effect 2, and then I started Mass Effect 3 last night. And it's so much better than I remember it being. And at the time, like, when I played this 3 years ago, it was like, it moved right up to my number 1 spot, basically. Like, it's even better the second time around, because you pick up on so much more of the little stuff. Like, the first time experiencing the trilogy is really special because you're experiencing it for the first time. And like the way that story evolves and the way those characters evolve and like how all of that weaves together is magical. But when you play it through the second time, you start picking up on like even deeper seated things. Like something I didn't really think about the first time was how dynamic these characters are. It's one thing to have something like Persona, where you have this cast of characters who are great. And in Persona, those characters like sort of develop along the course of the game. They all, that's the point of the social links. That's the point of the confidants in Persona 5. You're like,
yeah,
they're growing as people and they're learning stuff about themselves and the world around them. But in Persona, that like, it's kind of surface level. Especially in Persona 5, it's like those characters are only improving by virtue of the main character being there, basically. Like, it's not like, yeah. I don't know. They're dynamic characters because they change. They're not just flat round characters. They are dynamic. It's kind of surface level dynamism, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But with Mass Effect, these characters, like, there are so many layers to them. It's a classic ogres are like onions kind of situation. There's this one character in particular who is responsible, without spoiling too much, this one character in particular is responsible for a major event that affects an entire species of aliens. And like his loyalty mission, like his side missions in Mass Effect 2, when you start to understand like how, like, first of all, there's like, again, the layer part. So his species are a species that don't live for very long. They only like live out for like 40 years. Like that's their lifespan. And so when you look at that, like the whole point, or not whole point, but like a driving factor in their species is like getting shit done. Like, we don't have that much time here. We need to do
efficiency.
Shit. We have to, exactly.
We have half the life expectancy, if you're lucky, of like the average human.
Sure. So like they're really motivated to go out and change, like to take life by the reins or whatever. So like there's that level to it, but then there's this other level of like who he is as a person and why he did the thing he did. And then the entire point of the storyline through Mass Effect 2 is like forcing him to evaluate what he did and like wrestle with his actions essentially. And then Mass Effect 3, you see that story play out to just the most bittersweet, just fucking amazing conclusion. And like there's like a lot left unspoken, I guess. Like those characters are really deep because they have these inner like conflicts within them that you can start to unravel when you piece it together with the lore and a lot of the other stuff. But it's not something that necessarily is just like outright stated.
Sure.
And so like when you start to like really dig into some of that stuff, it just makes the game so much deeper. And like the writing, like, I don't know, I've been sort of apologetic, I guess, for BioWare and EA over the years. But like going back and seeing what they were able to do with Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3 in particular, and see what they did then with Andromeda and Anthem, they did actually, there was a big drop off there because Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3 are such deep games, and the writing in those in Andromeda and Anthem just didn't live up to that. And I hope they can get back to it, but the Mass Effect trilogy is just such a special thing that is, even though everybody fucking loves it, I feel like it's still underappreciated. I would put it up in the pantheon of things like honestly with like the Lord of the Rings. That's how deep this game is, and how like influential it could possibly, it has been on the, like we see Starfield coming out as a direct competitor basically to the Mass Effect franchise, in some ways maybe even a successor to the Mass Effect franchise. It's just that we're going to see Mass Effect's like its influence for many years to come in the sci-fi space. And like, I don't know, I'm loving it so much the second time. Not much more than I thought I was going to. I thought this was just going to be like a replay that, I was going to go and I was going to enjoy myself, replay through the games, taking it again.
Yeah, nostalgic candy.
Sure, but it's much more than that. So I can't speak highly enough about those games. And the trilogy remaster is really well done with the upgraded graphics and all that stuff. I did, unfortunately, fuck myself in Mass Effect 2, because the last mission of Mass Effect 2, if you didn't know this about the games, your actions can have obviously huge consequences. One of those is having your party members die.
I think I heard about that. Yeah.
And so there's a lot of ways for your party members to die. And in Mass Effect 2, the final mission of the game is literally called the suicide mission. And if everything goes wrong, I think actually all of your party members could theoretically die in the last mission of the game permanently.
Oh, shit.
And I forgot about something that basically locked me out of saving everybody. I was able to save all of my party members. So all of the main characters lived. However, I failed to do something that rescued the rest of the crew on the ship. So all of the unnamed people that were on my ship,
red shirts or whatever,
died.
depending on what Star Trek edition you're watching.
Right. Yeah. So essentially what happens near the very end of the game is the crew sort of gets kidnapped. And I waited too long to go save them, because I was doing the thing I always do with fucking with RPGs like this, or with open world games. I guess Mass Effect's not really open world, but it kind of is. I was saving all of my side quests to do them all at once. And I was trying to first get all of get all of my side characters on the ship. So I was trying to go out and recruit my whole squad. And then once I had my whole squad recruited, I was then going to go and complete all the side missions. Yes. There's one squad member, people who play Mass Effect know who it is, that you don't get until a certain mission. And then the mission after that mission sort of randomly starts. Or it starts, not randomly, but it starts unexpectedly. And that's the mission, or that's the thing that happens where the crew gets abducted. And then basically, if you want to save the crew, you have to go and do it right away. Except that I hadn't completed any of the side missions, and the only way to save your crew members is to complete those side missions. So I had to complete the side missions to save the people who actually mattered by sacrificing the people on my ship. So that was unfortunate, but they all and they're all kind of terrible people. Not really, but sort of anyway. So I don't feel too bad about it. But I'm not going to get like it's not the perfect run. It's not a perfect run through the game. You okay?
Yeah.
What else? Loki came out. Loki started yesterday.
Oh, that's right. How is it? Is it good? Is it living up to the other two?
Hard to say so far. I mean, one episode in.
Sure. Yeah.
It's once again doing something completely different than the other two. I would say it's closer to WandaVision than it is Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because it's such a different kind of like environment. Like it's a new group of, like, it's this new, I don't know if they're a race or I don't really know what they are, but these like time police and their whole world sort of exist outside of reality in a way. And so like it's all very new and very weird. And it's very interesting. Like Tom Hiddleston is fucking fantastic. Owen Wilson in it is fucking fantastic. It's not a character that I think I've ever seen Owen Wilson play. Like he's kind of playing like this straight man sort of cop person, time cop person. And usually, you got Owen Wilson walking around with a mullet going, oh, wow. Whoa. Wow. Yeah, no, that's not the Owen Wilson we got here. So yeah, I mean, I'm digging it a lot so far. The style is really cool. It's almost like 1960s 60. It's like Fallout style before the bombs go off, if that makes sense. Like the Vault Boy kind of thing.
Yeah, the classic. Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
I don't know if that's the 50s or the 60s, but it's like that's kind of the style. Yeah, I think it's gonna do some cool things. It's definitely, they've made some like off-key references about timelines and about realities and about dimensions. And at one point they were talking about a multiverse war that happened in the past before they like centered on this one timeline. And they dropped in this comment about, so they're talking about the multiverse war. They were like, yeah, if the multiverses get fucked up, you'll descend into madness. And then it's like, oh, well, that's clearly a reference to the multiverse of madness that is going to come out like next year. So
very soon. Yeah.
I more so than WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I'm kind of expecting this to set up some things more concretely than the other two series did. We'll see if that actually plays out. I'm also curious just to see what happens with Loki because, you know, he's dead in the main timeline. And then we have this variant Loki that steals the space stone and goes back in time, essentially. Yeah. So yeah, it's a really interesting premise. I think I really like the dynamic between Loki and Owen Wilson's character. I thought that Falcon and the Winter Soldier was going to be that buddy cop show, and it wasn't at all. But this could be that show. They have that kind of dynamic where they're like, they have a good back and forth. It's pretty good. So enjoying it. I don't know that we know how many episodes it is. I'm thinking it's probably 6 is what I've heard, but
sure,
we'll see. Like a lot. Though.
I did see a very funny tweet where they were like, okay, so apparently phase 4 of Marvel is just everybody needs therapy.
Yeah, they're not wrong. They do. Yeah. It's pretty much everybody needs therapy. Yeah.
Yep. That's phase 4. Go get yourself a therapist.
The only other thing that I watched, and I might or might not recommend watching this, is Bo Burnham's new special on Netflix.
I heard about that.
Do you like Bo Burnham?
That it's weird.
It's weird if you haven't. So first, let me ask first. Are you familiar with Bo Burnham? Like, do you like him? Yes. Have you seen all his stuff?
I've seen his stuff. I don't remember. I'm not like obsessed, but I think I enjoyed it when I watched it.
Do you remember the last special he did was, I think it was called Make Happy, if I remember correctly. It was done back in like 2016 was the last one. And like the end of that special was super depressing. I don't know if you recall that or not. It
rings a bell. That rings a bell.
And after that, he stopped performing because he didn't feel well, basically mentally. Yes. And so this is his first special, his first time performing since then. And it's funny, but it's more like it's hard to explain. It's very much that fatalistic humor that I feel like has been so prominent through the pandemic, where it's like there's no way out of this, basically. And like,
yeah,
there's just some really great, like there were quite a few moments where I was like literally laughing out loud. He has this Jeff Bezos song that's fucking great. That's probably my favorite part of it. But yeah, there's a lot of great songs in it. A lot of great humor bits, but it's also like, I several times Googled, like, is Bo Burnham okay? And he's fine. Like, I think that a lot of this was, you know, the sense of humor he's developed since 2016, but then also like, I don't know, this was like sort of the special he wanted to make in the tone of the world right now.
Sure.
It's depressing, but it's not necessarily depressing, but I could see how it could be depressing depending on how your mental state is. So like, I definitely recommend watching it, but think of it more as like not so much a comedy special, but almost like it's an art piece. Yeah, like a reflective art piece, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
But it was really good. I think that's about it. I can't think. I guess we played that on that day. We played a bunch of stuff.
We did Extra Life 2. We haven't talked about that, but I mean,
that was done. We did it.
Thanks for tuning in if you did.
It's been a blur. I guess like
that's the thing. Yeah, with Extra Life and then the holiday weekend, and for me this past weekend being in Chicago, like the last 2 weeks have just been a whirlwind.
I'm excited to play Ratchet and Clank. I want to play it tomorrow, but I want to get through Mass Effect 3 first. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
You know what else I'm looking forward to, John?
What else are you looking forward to?
E3. Which starts on Saturday officially.
That's
However,
only 2 days away.
It is only 2 days away. However, Geoff Keighley, not to be one-upped by E3, decided to kick off the Summer Games Fest today with the, what did he call it? Summer Game Fest. Summer Game Fest.
I thought it was just Summer Game Fest. If there was a subtitle,
there is. It's son of a bitch.
Sponsored by Amazon Prime and Netflix.
It was sponsored by those
and
two
Amazon
things.
Prime. Hey, did we
Yes.
mention Amazon Prime Gaming? Amazon Prime.
Subscribe to Luna.
It's so weird. Did they mention Luna once? I don't remember them even in the Amazon Prime ads. I don't think that they mentioned Luna one time.
You know, they even debuted a game from Amazon Game Studios at it, and I don't know that they did.
I didn't hear the word Luna at all. And granted, I wasn't super dialed in and focused the entire time, but there were chunks of time where I was pretty focused, and I didn't hear any mention of Luna, and I was like, hey, you just dropping that? Because that'd be great.
So it's Summer Game Fest Kickoff Live is what it was called.
Okay.
Not to be confused with Summer Game Fest Opening Night Live, which is going to be the conclusion of Summer Game Fest at Gamescom. Or maybe it's Gamescom Opening Night Live? Whatever. Summer Game Fest started today. There are going to be several events throughout the summer. Summer Game Fest ends on Gamescom Opening Night Live, or whatever that thing is. So there's going to be one more kind of big presentation from Gamescom that Geoff Keighley is going to put on. But this Kickoff Live event today was not necessarily part of E3, but it's meant to kick off the whole thing.
Sure.
I know you watched at least part of it, or parts of it.
I had it on. There were, again, parts that I focused on, parts that I kind of zoned out or just did something else. So
I thought I might go through Nibel's timeline, basically.
Big thread of it.
Yeah. I'm glad that he does this because I can just kind of scroll through and there's pictures that easily jog my memory of the things.
Yeah. I should open that too.
So they started off with Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, which is a not Borderlands game. It's its own IP, I guess a spin-off IP, based on what was the DLC from Borderlands 2? The dungeon of something or another?
It was Tiny Tina's Dungeon Quest or something? I forget.
Right.
Castle something?
It was basically
D&D.
It was a D&D campaign.
And Tina was the dungeon master. Yeah.
So this is
But it retold the story of 2, kind of.
Yeah.
Or at least parts of it.
Right. So this builds off of that idea into its own game. There's obviously some crossover with Borderlands because Tiny Tina is a part of it. Butt Stallion is in it.
Yes.
However, the gameplay, I guess, is going to be different. There's still going to be some guns and loot and stuff. But there's also magic and some other stuff that is part of it.
It's not just one of 4 set characters. You can actually make custom characters this time.
Yeah, there's a full character creator. It sounds like crafting and a bunch of cool stuff. Now, I'm still salty over Borderlands.
Borderlands 3, yeah. I haven't played it still, and so when I saw this, I was like, I'm
definitely going to have to wait to see. Because it's its own thing, I'm not necessarily as concerned about some of the weird story decisions they decided to do with Reese and some other stuff from Borderlands 3, Vaughn. So I'm not necessarily worried about that, but I don't know. I don't want to support Randy Pitchford necessarily. Tiny Tina's not my favorite character. We'll see. We literally just got basically a teaser trailer that was...
Yeah, and then Tiny Tina's voice actress,
yeah,
answered some questions.
Ashley Birch.
Yeah, that one.
So that's fun. New Borderlands IP. Okay, so let me. This E3 is probably like I feel like there's been more stuff spoiled for this E3 than any other E3 we've ever had. Even the ones where it's like the Walmart leaks dropped before. Like that one time Amazon Canada or whatever had all of the games that were leaked just like on their store page. This E3 is a little bit different where we're not necessarily getting that, but either the people are coming out and saying straight up the games that they're going to be talking about at E3, so there's no mystery, or there's been so many like rumors circulating. I think we'll talk about this, especially like during the Nintendo Direct one. But like we kind of feel like we already know the games that are going to be here. And so it's kind of weird, but nonetheless, Kojima was there. Did you watch that Kojima bit?
I did.
The Kojima conversation was whatever.
That was interesting.
I thought that the trailer that they had for the director's cut of Death Stranding was like such a troll.
Oh yeah, it was such a troll. It took its damn time.
So long. It like that. I don't know what Norman Reedus' character's name is in that game, but like he looked at that box for probably a minute and a half. There was like 90 straight seconds of him taking the box carefully off the shelf, looking at it carefully, putting it down, looking at it some more, getting into it.
Hopping into it, doing a literal jump into it.
Like, I don't know. I thought it was like such a, like, I don't know. With Kojima in particular, he's a very like buttoned up guy. He doesn't really talk that much. You can tell that he's like very introverted. He doesn't like talking to people, or not that he doesn't like talking to people. He's just a very introverted dude. Most of these creative people are. And like, there's clearly bad blood between him and Konami. And for like this trailer was just like such a sort of like breath of fresh air to see Kojima like put out something that is, I don't know. I don't want to say it's controversial, but like it was a direct stab at that. It's like, hey, remember Metal Gear? Yeah, that was me. It was a fun trailer. I thought it was like so over the top and so mundane at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't know that's going to get me to play Death Stranding, but
it won't for me. I feel like that ship has sailed. I missed it, and I'm okay with that.
Let's see. Jeff Goldblum doing Jeff Goldblum stuff. Ryan Reynolds doing Ryan Reynolds stuff.
Almost ruining the surprise at the end. Probably without realizing it, but
yeah.
Whatever.
I mean, it's such a joke. It's been a joke for the past year and a half. Where the fuck is Elden Ring?
Yeah.
Now we know.
Now we know.
The middle part of this, I felt like it went by so slow. It was a lot of like game updates. It wasn't necessarily new game announcements.
I mean, they still put a fucking world premiere in front of everything.
Yeah. So it's like, here's some.
I guess that's just the go-to phrase for, hey, we have literally the tiniest crumb of new information.
This is the first time.
This is a world premiere.
It's instead of like this is a new announcement, it's like world. I don't know why that's better than saying here's a new announcement from Inner Sloth about Among Us DLC, or here's some Fast and Furious Rocket League cars. Here, like, I don't know. We don't need a world premiere in front of all that shit.
No.
There was a cool indie game that is exclusive to, at least for now, Xbox and PC called Planet of Lana. Do you remember that one?
I really like that. It looked kind of. A lot of people in the that I was reading were saying that it looked just like Limbo, but like colorful.
Yeah,
at least in terms of mechanics.
So when they were showing the trailer for it, it popped up and said it was hand painted, I guess.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that really means in terms of developing the game, but it looks like a pastel painting basically.
Yeah.
But it's a boy or girl, it doesn't matter. There's a childlike character and there's a weird monkey cat-like character, I guess. It looks like there are aliens.
Like an alien?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's very pretty. It's very beautiful.
Yeah, it really is.
So that caught my eye. That's one of those indie games that like I'm going to keep my eye on for sure.
Same. Yep.
Monster Hunter. Oh shit, did he fall off? Oh, he must have started a new oh no, he didn't. I hate it when Twitter just like puts the little ellipses. It's like it's like hidden almost. Giancarlo Esposito decided to go on a rant about something.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Giancarlo Esposito is the only reason why I would want to play Far Cry 6, and usually the reason you play Far Cry games is for the villain.
Yeah.
It's just that Ubisoft...
He's not a villain. Don't get him wrong.
Ubisoft goes out of their way to say over and over again that the Far Cry games aren't political. Like, that was the entire thing with Far Cry 5. It's like, okay, we have this weird religious cult in the middle of Montana. Clearly... they have a lot of symbolism that's shared with the clan and with like a bunch of other stuff, but it's not political, you guys.
Nope.
It's not political.
No.
Giancarlo Esposito just like, I saw a tweet afterwards where it's like, Ubisoft, our game's not political. Giancarlo Esposito, I'm about to ruin this man's whole career.
Basically, yeah, that's what he did.
So, like, I don't know.
He even said, with the political climate of today's day and age.
Yeah. So, like, I'm interested in it for Giancarlo Esposito, and if it turns out to be a good game, maybe I'll play it. But Far Cry 5, to me, was not a good game. The Apple texture, 0 out of 10. But then also, the whole just, like, the way that they handle material that should be sensitive material is just not with respect. And so... yeah. I hope that by hiring someone like Giancarlo Esposito, who is one of the best actors in the fucking world, like hopefully he had enough influence and like the team has learned enough to like grow up.
Right.
Yeah. But I don't necessarily have faith in that. So I'm a wait and see on that one. PlayStation contracted with yet another brand new AAA game development studio. This time, Deviation Games, who is headed by two. I think they were from a Call of Duty studio. I don't remember if it was Treyarch or the other one. What's the other one? Treyarch and Infinity Ward. It's one of those two. But I guess the main guy is like basically responsible for the Zombies games, like the Zombies game type.
Yeah.
So they have a new studio with over 100 game developers developing a new exclusive game for PlayStation. So that's the third one now with Jade Raymond's Haven Studio, the Firewalk Studio from the ex-Bungie people, and now this Deviation Games. So PlayStation making moves on some exclusive IP.
Look at you go.
Is that it? Other than
no, there was
Elden Ring?
There was something. Chicory looks really fun.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that whole Shuhei Yoshida segment with the PlayStation indie games.
I think there was Chicory, there was Solar Ash,
yes,
I think, and then Salt.
Yeah, Salt. So Salt and Sanctuary was the first game. I forget what they call it. Salt and Sacrifice, I think. Is the one they just announced?
Some of the fucking titles for games were in such a weird font that I couldn't read what they were. I was like, I appreciate what you're doing with the artistic direction on this, but please, I can't read it.
Yeah, Salt and Sanctuary, I remember I actually played that game on the Vita. And it was actually basically Hollow Knight, but like 3 years before Hollow Knight came out.
Yeah, it looks like something I want to play.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a Metroidvania. It's just more like 2D Dark Souls, essentially. Take the Metroid piece out of it.
That's the one where you like kill the mages and fucking destroy their hearts.
Yeah,
and it says heart acquired or whatever,
yes.
Which is very similar to when you beat a Dark Souls boss and it's like soul acquired.
Right.
It does the same thing.
Yeah, so Salt and Sacrifice is the sequel game that they just announced at this thing today. But yeah, then Chicory and Solar Ash I've been waiting for. Solar Ash looks really good.
Yeah.
Chicory is the first time I've seen it, but when Shuhei Yoshida announces a game, I'm interested in it. Because Shuhei Yoshida is a man's man. I love that dude.
He's your boy.
He's my boy, Shu. The only other game was Tunic, about that little fox man with the sword.
Have we seen that before?
We have seen it before.
I was going to say, I could have sworn that I'd seen almost everything from that before.
Yeah, they definitely showed that game before. I think that it got a demo last year during Summer Game Fest or whatever, and I guess it played horribly. So like visually it looks fine, but like the actual gameplay was real rough.
Yikes.
So I guess it's getting a new demo this year. So I'm guessing if they're giving it a second demo, it must be improved. That's part of ID at Xbox, so I think that's an Xbox exclusive game, most likely coming to PC as well.
Sure.
It looks cute.
Yeah. There was I'm forgetting what it was. That garden game where you're like everybody's like a berry and you're fighting this rot thing. I forget what it was called.
Berry.
Again, it's another one that we'd seen before. So I'm not really sure what happened between then and now to make us need another trailer for it, but
yeah. I mean, there were a lot of I skipped over a lot. I was basically just talking about the things I was interested in.
Yeah. That whatever the hell that Guardian one is, or that garden one, had me interested, but I just can't remember it now. It was almost like Stardew, but without the farming.
Sure.
And more of a like combat focus. But there was fishing and there was like quests that you had to run for people.
Yeah, I'm scrolling through. I don't see it.
I'm looking forward to was it called Sky? Was that the one that was on iOS going to
yes.
the Switch?
Yeah, launching on Nintendo Switch June 29th. I am actually also looking forward to it. I know that because it launched on mobile devices, I don't know that I've ever seen like a real review for it.
Sure.
But it's from that game company, makers of Flower and Journey.
Yeah.
So like with a track record like Flower and Journey, if this is the next game they made after Journey, I feel like I'm going to like it, but I just never actually got the chance to play it.
Yeah.
So now that it's on Switch, a proper console, I'll probably pick it up.
Same. The only other one that I wrote down, and I'm not interested in this, but I thought it was the trailer and like the art style and everything were well done, especially going with a certain era. But that Metal Slug Tactics or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
That was neat. That seemed to... I don't think anybody expected that.
No, I don't. I mean, I'm familiar with Metal Slug as a franchise by name, and that's basically it.
That's my extent too. Yeah.
Like, I recognize the name Metal Slug, but I could not tell you what a Metal Slug game is.
Nope.
I always tell myself that I like third-person tactical RPGs like this, and in the case of Fire Emblem Three Houses, that was true. And in the case because I remember playing, I think, obviously Final Fantasy Tactics is like the original one, But I think that, do you remember Golden Sun on the Game Boy Advance? Did you ever play that?
Again, I know the name. I never played it,
I
though.
think I remember Golden Sun being a tactical RPG like this as well, and I liked that one. But with some of the tactical RPGs I've tried to play in the past couple of years, they just haven't really clicked with me. Like there's that Norse one, Banner Saga.
Yeah.
I've tried to play Banner Saga like 2 or 3 times, and I just can't get into it. The writing is really good, and it seems like it has a great story. It's just the gameplay to me doesn't like click for whatever reason. And then there was that game that I played last year, or maybe it was 2 years ago at this point, that I tried to get into that had like the dog unit. What was the fuck was that game called? Oh man, I forget. But it was on the Nintendo Switch as well. It had like that dog in the armor that and the dogs couldn't die if you like killed the dog unit. It ran away because they didn't want to kill dogs in their game. I forget what the game was called, but it reviewed really well. It didn't click with me. So like this game visually, like the cinematic was fucking fun. Like that was the characters look fun. I feel like the gameplay might not click with me. I'm worried about that.
Sure.
And then obviously they ended the press conference with the first look at Elden Ring since 2018, I think, when we got the teaser trailer at the Microsoft event, if I remember, at E3 that year.
Yes.
So people have been clamoring for more Elden Ring news, and we finally got it. We got a proper trailer with gameplay in it, and we even got a release date for January 21st, 2022.
Yeah, really, that was generous of them. They could have just given us a trailer and we would have been like, oh, thank God. It's
like the game is real.
It's still here. Yeah.
Because the teaser they gave us at first was just like a picture of like the ring, like a ring like flipping around or whatever.
Yeah.
It was very abstract, but this showed actual gameplay and it looked really, it's Dark Souls gameplay clearly, but in an open world type setting. So I'm excited to see FromSoft, like what that looks like. Like what does an open world, because the Dark Souls games aren't really open world. I'm excited to see what that really looks like, what influence they've taken from other open world games, what influence George R.R. Martin's going to have on the story. Like, are we going to have an actual, like, real narrative this time? If George R.R. Martin is involved, I would hope that we would. But, yeah, it looks fun.
For sure.
You like those Souls games?
I do like those. Not as much as my one friend, but I'm a fan.
I think that was it. We miss anything?
Not that I remember, so if we did, it wasn't important for either of us.
It's very true. Okay, so that was the first little bit. Tomorrow is Geeked Week, I think. Also part of Summer Games Fest. It's basically a Netflix presentation. They're gonna show off their geeky TV shows, I guess, that are debuting. The Cuphead cartoon is going to be unveiled. We're gonna get something from the Witcher Netflix series. They mentioned Splinter Cell by name. If you remember, like 2 years ago, they said they were making a Splinter Cell anime. I don't know why, but that's apparently going to be there tomorrow. So yeah, we'll see what that looks like. I'm not necessarily excited for it, but I'm going to watch it with, what's it called when you hate watch something? Like when you watch something and you hope something legitimately bad is going to happen. Like basically like the people who watch a football game or a sport and say, I hope the Meteor wins. Like, What is that called?
The closest word I can think of is that one German word is like Schadenfreude or whatever, but I don't think that's exactly
No,
it.
not
it's
quite.
Close.
It's very close. Yeah. But yeah, I'm going to watch that tomorrow.
Something with the intent of hoping something bad happens. Like,
I just want to watch it and have there just be horrible reactions to the Splinter Cell anime in particular.
Yeah.
And then whatever happens at E3, also there to be horrible reactions to Sam Fisher. But yeah, that'll be tomorrow. And then E3 again kicks off in earnest on Saturday, which is where we will now take the podcast with our annual predictions for E3. Like I said at the top of the show, E3 is a little bit strange this year in that everybody and their mother has a press conference. Usually there are
like six
max.
7.
Yeah, when PlayStation didn't attend, I guess they did attend the last time there was one, but it's usually Xbox is on Saturday. Sometimes they've been on Sunday. And then it's like, so Xbox, Ubisoft, EA, PlayStation, Nintendo, EA. And then Bethesda and Square Enix kind of joined late in the game. So in the past, there have been up to 8 conferences. This year, I'm trying to pull up my Twitter feed because I retweeted the schedule the other day. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 20. There are 25 press events during E3 this year.
That's not going to go well.
It's not, and we can talk about that maybe a little bit as we go, but yeah, like the human mind can only concentrate on so much at a time.
Yeah.
And I think that this is the reason why PlayStation and EA and others have left E3. It's like, why the fuck would we come out and talk about all of our biggest games when literally 30 minutes later, Xbox is going to come out and talk about all of their biggest games, and then we have to share like the newspaper with them, basically. Like we have to share space with them. Why would we do that when we can have our own event in July when nothing's happening and everybody can talk about just us? Like, okay, so here's the rundown. Ubisoft starts at 12 p.m. on Saturday Pacific. These times are all Pacific. Yes. So Ubisoft Forward is at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, June 12th. Then we have a Gearbox E3 showcase at 5 p.m. on Saturday, Eastern Time. Then we have GamesBeat, which is a journalism website. They're going to show something off. Don't know what that means. I don't know.
They're actually just going to cover everything that we had seen in the last 12 hours.
That's Jeff Grubb's thing. So Jeff Grubb is, the notorious leaker who we've talked about a few times. Jeff Grubb works for GamesBeat, and I think that he's hosting that. So I don't know if Jeff Grubb's just going to come out and leak a bunch of information or what the hell that's going to really be. But that's the thing that's on Saturday. Then on Sunday, we have 24 Entertainment. I don't know what that is, but they're showing something. Then we have Xbox and Bethesda at 1 p.m. on Sunday. Square Enix at 3:15 p.m. Warner Brothers is showing off Back 4 Blood, which is the Left 4 Dead spiritual successor, at 5 p.m. The PC Gaming Show is at 5:30 p.m. The Future Game Show, which is another thing that I have no idea what that is at 7 p.m. What the fuck is the Future Game Show? What does that mean? Who's in that?
I don't know. I do not know.
Then we get into as if the Future Game Show wasn't obscure enough. Then we get into Monday. Monday is by far the worst day. We start the show at 12 p.m. with Verizon. What? Since when does Verizon make video games, first of all? What the hell is that? Second, we have Intellivision. I don't know what that is. Okay. At 12:45 p.m. Then we have a Take-Two interactive panel, which could literally mean a lot of things. That could be GTA 5 on PS5 and Xbox Series X. That could be NBA 2K, whatever the hell. I don't know what that is, but that at least we know who Take-Two is. That's at, what is that? That's 1:15 p.m. on Monday. Mythical Games. And then there's I can't do math. 2:10 p.m.? What the hell is 2:10? Why are they going at 10 past the hour? they just decided to. Indie Showcase, there's going to be an Indie Showcase at 3 p.m. I can wrap my head around that. Then we have a 3:30 p.m. presentation from Freedom Games. I don't know what that is. 4 p.m. we have Ven. 5:30 we have Capcom. Then at 6 p.m. we have Razer. Are they going to show off new gaming mice? What is Razer going to do?
Oh, I don't know.
Then on Tuesday, we have the Nintendo Direct at 12 p.m. We have Bandai Namco at 5:25 p.m. Eureka Studio, which who's Eureka? They're not Playtonic is who I was thinking of, but that's not them.
Eureka Studio.
YOO Rika. Eureka.
Oh, okay.
They're at 6:30 p.m. Then GameSpot is doing its own thing. So we got two gaming publications. We got GamesBeat and GameSpot doing some sort of showcase. So that is a lot of fucking showcases. And, you know, me as a hardcore gamer, me who is someone who pays a lot of attention to the games industry and like what's going on, I could not care less about more than half of these things. Like even Capcom shouldn't probably have its own thing. Like Capcom, I think historically isn't the Capcom Cup a thing? Don't they have like a fighting game tournament or something that they usually announce stuff at?
Probably.
But like,
I've heard of none of these games from Eureka Studios.
And that's the thing. It's like
There's
can understand.
Like 9, but I have not heard of a single one.
I think it's the same with most of these. If you look up Freedom Games, I'm sure it's the same. They probably have 12 games that they're publishing, and you've never heard of any of them. And I'm not saying that like they shouldn't be allowed to be at E3. I'm just saying that them having their own conference that's outlined like this, like it basically tells people not to watch. Like I'm not gonna watch. Like if they had like interspersed their games in a like predefined indie showcase, like if E3 had an indie showcase and they showed them in a sizzle reel or something, or even if they only highlighted one or two of their games, I would watch that. But like I'm not gonna tune in for whatever Ven is at 4 p.m. on Monday. So, like, from a mindshare perspective, I just feel like this E3 is such a fucking clusterfuck.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
At the end of the day, the only real press conferences, I think, are Ubisoft Forward, Xbox and Bethesda Games Showcase, the Square Enix Presents, the PC Gaming Show, and the Nintendo Direct. Everything else is, like, either who gives a shit? Like, honestly, I'm sorry, but like, who is going to watch? Or it's something where they're literally talking about one game. It's Warner Brothers talking about Back 4 Blood. And like, that to me is not something to tune into. I'm not interested in Back 4 Blood to begin with, but like, what am I getting out of that?
Yeah.
So, with all of that said, for our predictions this year, we're not going to make, fucking, in the past we did like 3 predictions, sometimes 5 predictions per press conference. We're not going to do that because we'd be here for 5 days predicting.
Also, I would just say I can't think of one for, I guess, like 70%.
Yeah. So we are going to do 10 predictions for all of these events. Just 10 flat predictions about E3, just these events. Because there's one other piece to this, which is that, yes, this is E3, and yes, this is the main games event for the summer. However, more than likely, we're going to get a PlayStation event somewhere down the road. More than likely, we're going to get another Nintendo Direct, probably, before the end of the summer. We have Gamescom opening night live in a couple months, which Geoff Keighley said is going to have announcements. There's an EA Play Live thing, I think next month. So like it's just like last year where there's going to be more announcements through the summer. It's just most of it is front loaded into this 4-day period.
Yes.
So we're not talking about any of that. We're not going to predict PlayStation. We're not going to predict EA stuff. It's just what's on the schedule. 10 things.
10 things.
I was giving John...
I made more than 10 just in case I say something that has already leaked and I just missed out on it.
I was giving John a hard time on the phone about 2 hours ago when he told me that he was having issues coming up with predictions. But in all honesty, it was hard to make predictions for this. Because I feel like I already know what most of this is going to look like. And I don't want to just make predictions about stuff that I know for sure is going to be there.
Yeah, that's not fun.
It's not fun. And like, I don't know. We'll talk about it, I'm sure, as we go through some of these. But let's get started. Do you have any kind of order on yours?
No.
Okay. I put it just in the order of the where I expect them to appear. So my first one is for a Ubisoft prediction. I have a Ubisoft prediction, which is that
I can reorder mine as we go so that I'm following your order.
Whatever you want to do. I only have one Ubisoft prediction. And that is that there are two games that there are two games that were announced literally forever ago. These games were announced back in like 2017, maybe before that. Skull and Bones, I feel like when was Assassin's Creed Black Flag? I feel like that came out around 2013, 2014.
Think so, yeah.
And Skull and Bones
right around when I went to college. So yeah, that'd be right.
And Skull and Bones was announced as basically like a multiplayer version of the ship combat from Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
Yes.
Skull and Bones was announced like what feels like a decade ago. And then Beyond Good and Evil 2 was also announced back in like 2016, I want to say. Neither of those games are going to be at this show. And they're not going to be shown at all.
Good. Continue to neglect them.
Yep. I don't know. I there were rumors that Skull and Bones was rebooted last year after however long. Like it was literally in development for like 8 years, then they just rebooted it. Like, that game's never going to fucking come out. And then Beyond Good and Evil 2, what the fuck is that? That when they announced that game, I never played Beyond Good and Evil, but apparently there were a lot of people who did because the entire, like all of the influencers that I listen to or, like watch from like IGN and Kind of Funny and whatever, like they were all stoked for Beyond Good and Evil 2. I'd never heard of it. And now like it's been at least 5 years and there's just nothing.
Yeah.
And I predict that there will be nothing from either of those two games on Saturday.
I think you're probably right. This is kind of a boring one, but do we know anything about the next Assassin's Creed game?
No.
Okay, well, we're going to get it. We're going to get all the info about the newest Assassin's Creed game. I don't know how Valhalla ended, but I'm assuming that they're going to continue on with that. They're not just going to jump ship.
Mm-hmm.
Because I thought I heard good things about it, and maybe I'm wrong.
It's from what I understand about Valhalla was if you liked the direction they took with Odyssey, you liked Valhalla. Mm-hmm. If you're a fan of the previous the previous Assassin's Creed games,
wow,
there's so much Schadenfreude, if you will, going on in my head right now. If you're a fan of the earlier Assassin's Creed games, this game does nothing to like steer back that direction.
Okay. Well, we're going to get a new Assassin's Creed game announced with a trailer, all the works. And Valhalla's at Norse, right? I guess continuing on with that, I don't know what they could possibly do because everybody's on the Norse train right now, it feels like.
They really are.
So I don't think they're going to want to jump ship and do something completely different.
Yeah, I think that they've said that there's not going to be a new Assassin's Creed coming out this year. That's not to say that they won't announce something, though, for
Oh, yeah,
year.
No, I'm not saying that they're going to announce it and it's going to be out in 3 months. I'm saying they're going to talk about it.
Sure.
and show us what they're doing.
I like at this point, Ghost of Tsushima already exists. I still kind of want them to do a Japan game though.
It would be nice, yeah.
But again, Ghost of Tsushima already exists, and it is much better than any Assassin's Creed game that's come out in the last 5 years. So at least,
yep.
So I wouldn't be like super excited for it if they did.
Yeah. What's your next one?
My next one, we are now going into Xbox territory. I have 3 Xbox/Bethesda predictions. My first
I do
is
too, so that works.
That Playground Games has made significantly more progress on Fable in the last year, because the last time when we saw that teaser trailer for Fable, that was at the Xbox Series X reveal event last July. So
Yes.
I think that they've made a lot of progress on it, and we are going to get a proper story trailer with no release date given for the game.
Well, you almost got exactly what I put down. I said that we were going to get a Fable trailer, but we are going to get a release date.
Oh.
I think that Xbox is... We go through this every fucking year.
We do. This is the year, John. I swear to God, this is the year that Xbox has to put up or fucking shut up. Piss or get off the pot, Xbox. How many years are you building?
Yeah, on top of on like the title of this little Xbox section, I put Xbox has games, and then in parentheses soon. But at least we're gonna like
have a date,
actually
like
hear about them and
yeah,
get dates and like see trailers and not just title cards and like whispers. So yes, wholeheartedly agree. Fable trailer. I'm saying that they're gonna give us a release date. I'm not saying it's gonna be this year, but with the new Xbox being out, they need to give out dates to sell those things.
Yeah, just today they did their like pre-E3 press junket with Phil and Satya Nadella. And they said during that today that they want to put out one Xbox Studios game on Game Pass, like a brand new game on Game Pass once a quarter. So they want to have a major Xbox AAA exclusive game launch every quarter. So like if that's going to start happening and Halo is the kickoff of that this fall, then that means you got to have something lined up for Q1 2022. What is it?
Yep. So I think we're going to get a lot of dates, and I'm hoping that we stick with those dates. Although I would much rather have them pushed back than do any kind of crunch, obviously. Sure. But I'm hoping that they planned properly, because you've had like 8 years to figure this out now.
Right. So then I started to think about, for my next prediction with Xbox, like what other Xbox properties can I predict on? And I couldn't come up with any, because at this point, like I'm done predicting about Halo. Like Halo is going to be whatever it is. I'm positive it's going to be at this thing, but I'm not going to predict, we're going to get a new trailer for Halo or whatever. I know we're going to get that. Like that's for sure going to be here because it's coming out, and we need to know what Craig looks like now. So I just decided to not do anything. Like I think that what's the initiative working on the game that they showed at the Game Awards with?
Yeah, I remember.
Perfect Dark.
Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna see anything from that. Like that's too far out.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I don't know. I was
Did they say that was gonna be in like 2023 or something.
Probably.
Did they like give a year and it was very far away?
It's got to be, yeah. Like that thing is very early in development. So I decided to only have that one true Xbox prediction. My other two are Bethesda.
Okay.
The first is that we are going to get an FPS surprise from Bethesda. Either or both. These both could happen, or only one of them might. id Software could tease the next entry for Doom. Doom Eternal came out over a year. That was like early 2020. It came out the same day Animal Crossing did.
Yeah, that's right.
So we could see the next tease, not necessarily a trailer, but we could see a tease for what Doom is, where Doom is going. Or they could formally say that Machine Games has 2 teams and announce a new Wolfenstein game to complement the Indiana Jones game that we already know they're working on. I kind of feel...
Speaking of Indiana Jones, I forgot there was a... sorry to interrupt.
No,
there was Did you see the Day of the Dev? Any of that after the
No,
like, main event?
I turned it off.
There was this one game. It was something Abyss, and it looked really, really fun and interesting. It was like a parkour Indiana Jones 3D like temple run game.
Oh,
And like the only real mechanic I saw was that you could obviously move around in parkour, but you had a whip that like could get you across places. And like I don't know how it 100% it works, but I guess if you die in the temple, you don't go back to that temple. Like every time you die, you go to a new temple. Like you can never repeat the old one. And I'm sure that things are going to be very similar.
so
But
basically,
also
sort of like
once-
some roguelite elements, sort of.
Sort of, yeah. And then it was going to be, you'd see like the ghosts of other characters to kind of help you, or like the other players who tried and died. And then once the relic is claimed from a temple, nobody else can get it. Like that temple is just taken down.
Oh, huh.
So again, I'm sure that it's going to be like, okay, it's the same exact thing except like there's 3 blocks that are different. This is the temple of Anubis Jr. or something.
Sure.
But just that concept, like I hope that the gameplay is as fun as it looked, because that could be really, really cool.
I'm kind of expecting to see a lot more of that. I've actually kind of expected it, like the idea of procedurally generated, like sort of like random world type deal, because like that was the entire selling point of No Man's Sky. Basically, was that like there was this infinite universe with infinite planets, and each planet has different wildlife and different fauna and flora, and like that was like back in when did that game launch? 2016. It's been a minute. Much like I thought that we were going to see a lot more of the Nemesis system from the Shadow of Mordor, Shadow of War games, where like the orcs remember you and start to develop personalities and like start to go insane. I thought we would see a lot more of those type of systems, but we haven't. And like this is like that you mentioning that, it reminds me of like No Man's Sky, and like I don't know. I hope we see more of that.
Yeah,
because No Man's Sky actually did it very well, and like if indie developers, which No Man's Sky at the time kind of was, can latch onto something like that.
This is so the game is called Phantom Abyss, and it's by Devolver Digital.
Oh, okay. Cool.
But it looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. I will keep my eyes out on that.
I think it's in pre-access or something like that. Maybe some kind of beta on Steam right now.
Sure. So yeah, either back to my prediction, either we'll see Doom, the new Doom teased, or a new Wolfenstein game.
Yes.
Because I think Machine Games, I feel like they have 2 studios. They put out Wolfenstein Youngblood like pretty quickly after Wolfenstein: The New Order, and at the same time they must have been working at some level on Indiana Jones. So I don't really know how big that studio is, but I could see them doing both.
Sure. I did go with the, I guess, semi cop out of a prediction, and put that obviously Xbox is going to heavily focus on Halo Infinite. There's going to be brand new everything. Nothing is going to be remotely what we saw the first time. And they're going to make sure to showcase all of these changes. And they're going to stick to their guns, and they're going to release it this year.
I'm feeling more confident that they're going to release it this year.
Yeah.
My last one is that Starfield will be unveiled with both a story trailer and an extended segment featuring a deep dive into world building and gameplay. I think this is basically going to be Bethesda's, like the majority of their conference is going to be showing Starfield. I really feel like this is going to be similar to when they actually their first E3, when they had their own conference, was when they unveiled Fallout 4. And they showed off Fallout 4, and that was basically all they showed that year. I think they're going to do basically the same thing with Starfield, to like basically show everybody that this is like as deep as a Elder Scrolls or Fallout game can be, except obviously it's been 5 years since Fallout 4. It's been almost 10 years, or it has been 10 years since Skyrim. And they've learned a lot. It's going to be much bigger. And now with the dollars behind them that Microsoft can provide, it's going to be great. I don't know that it's going to come out this year. I think that that's a little bullish to say that, because when they announced Fallout 4 at E3, it launched that fall. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen. So my brain says they're going to stick to a 2022 release date. They're not going to give a month, just 2022. But my heart wants Q4 2021. I would buy an Xbox Series X if they release this for Q4 2021.
Wow. I went the other way and said that they're going to focus very heavily on one thing, but them being Bethesda. But it's going to be, all we really know about Elder Scrolls 6 is that title card and that it's happening, right?
Yeah.
I think this is the Elder Scrolls 6 focused thing for them. That's this year. Because yes, Starfield's new, but it has been 10 years since we got Skyrim. And I think they're going to prioritize that, especially if Daddy Microsoft says, "Hey, we're making our space game. So can you save your space game for next year, and then you do your fantasy game this year?"
That's true. I didn't think about the Halo part of that.
So I don't think they're going to want two space games competing with each other. So I think that they're going to push that back. Maybe they'll talk about it a little bit, but I think that it's going to be full on Elder Scrolls 6.
See, release
date and a trailer.
I cannot fathom the idea that they are working on essentially 3 games at once. Those 3 games being Elder Scrolls 6, Starfield, and they're still supporting Fallout 76. Obviously the Fallout 76 team it must be very small. But
you would think.
I think that everything that I've heard is that Starfield is going to be the first game out, and that Elder Scrolls 6, as of last year at least, was still very early in production.
Nope.
So we'll see.
I think Microsoft said no. Flip that.
Sorry, we bought you. Now you do what we say.
You can still do what you want, but the order in which you do them is determined by us.
Moving on from Xbox, I have one Square Enix Presents prediction. And this one is wishy-washy, to be completely honest. Because I didn't want to commit. Because honestly, all 3 of these rumored games, not even rumored, all 3 of these games, one of them is rumored, are most likely going to be PlayStation exclusive things. And if PlayStation has any say in it, which they may or may not, they'll want this at their theoretical summer thing, which I guess we still don't know is really happening because they haven't given a date or any indication that they're going to do one. I'm sure there's going to be a summer state of play because they do one every couple of months. But I don't think they've really given us a for sure thing that we are going to get a hour-and-a-half state of play from PlayStation this year. I hope we do. But if they do that this summer, they're going to want these things at that.
Yes.
So my prediction for Square Enix is that Square Enix is going to show off something new for Final Fantasy. If it's Final Fantasy 16, I sleep. The meme where it's like the guy sleeping and then his eyes are... I sleep. If it's Final Fantasy 16, I'm excited for Final Fantasy 16. It looked really good at the PS5 reveal event. But that's the game I'm looking forward to the least. If they show Final Fantasy 7 Remake Part 2 or Final Fantasy have you heard about the rumored Final Fantasy Dark Souls game from Team Ninja?
No.
So Team Ninja, who did Nioh,
yes,
is rumored to be working on a game called Final Fantasy Origins, which is a Dark Souls-like Final Fantasy game that is going to be exclusive to PlayStation. So I'm hoping it's one of those two, either Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 or this Final Fantasy Origins thing. If it's Final Fantasy 16, that's fine too. But I really feel like PlayStation is going to want to have all of that at theirs thing.
Yeah.
But also having 3 Final Fantasy things at one press conference is probably not the smart thing to do. So they can have one announcement here. They're going to show something. They're going to show one of those 3 things. Which one, I'm not sure, though.
I agree, and I'm committing to Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2. I think that because Intergrade just came out, right?
Yeah, today. Which is
So
weird. It came out on a Thursday, but yeah.
Yeah, I think riding that hype and refreshing Final Fantasy VII Remake and putting that back in everybody's mind, they're going to want to capitalize on that momentum and really sell it at E3, especially because I think that that'll make some people who aren't buying or weren't going to buy Intergrade go out and buy it.
True, and there is always like E3 discounts on the stores.
Yeah.
So even if Intergrade isn't on sale, the original one will be.
Yes.
So that makes
so
sense.
I'm going a little more specific and saying that yes, I agree. Square's going to do a Final Fantasy thing, but I'm committing to Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2.
My next one is a PC gaming show prediction.
Gross.
Why gross? You don't like the PC gamers, John? You don't think they deserve
I'm fine
E3?
with them. I had no idea what to put for that kind of thing. So I skipped them.
I watched the PC gaming show last year only because Persona 4 Golden was rumored, or was leaked. It was straight up leaked that Persona 4 Golden was going to be announced at it for the PC. So my prediction for the PC gaming show this year is that after last year's leak, Atlas was actually able to keep something under wraps. And either a version of Persona 3, any version of Persona 3, or a version of Persona 5 even, will be released on Steam.
I could see it.
I don't know which. I think I'm leaning more towards Persona 3 than Persona 5 just because it's older and should theoretically be easier to do. And it would probably be Persona 3 portable. I hope it would be Fez, but it's probably going to be portable. But I could see them doing 5 too. Like PlayStation's putting their games on PC, so why not let Atlas put theirs on it?
Sure, yeah.
But we'll see.
I did make another Square prediction, actually. And it's one that I really hope that I'm wrong.
Uh-oh.
And maybe we already know about this, but I think that Square is going to force us to have another way too long look at Project Triangle Strategy.
Is that a Square game?
I thought it was. Was it not?
I don't know, actually. Let me look.
I thought it. Maybe I'm just. I don't know. That fucking.
It is Square Enix, yes.
Yeah, I think that we're gonna get, because we didn't get enough the first time at the Nindy or whatever it debuted on. I think we're gonna get way too much on that again, and I do not want to see it.
You think here and not at the Nintendo Direct?
Yeah. I think Nintendo Direct is going to be too full of their own stuff.
That's fair.
I hope Nintendo Direct is full of their own stuff.
Do you think we'll get a name for if they do a whole blowout for Project Triangle Strategy? Will it still be called Project Triangle Strategy, or will it have an actual name?
I really hope that they change it, but man, I don't think they're going to.
Sad. My next 3 predictions are for Nintendo. The first is that Shin Megami Tensei 5 finally gets a proper gameplay reveal trailer and a release date for Q4 2021. It's going to get like an actual date, not just Q4 2021. It'll get an actual date in Q4. I just don't know where at. Because to this point, all we've seen is it was a story trailer. They showed some cutscenes, and it's 2021. We don't have an actual date. So I want to see actual gameplay, and I want to see a release date in the fall.
All right. I am as total shock to everybody. Breath of the Wild 2. That's going to be one of their big focuses for going to with Nintendo. Full trailer, release date for the fall. I'm sticking to my guns on my original prediction at the start of the year. Was that?
I think
when
so.
I made that?
Yeah.
The ones that we just went through like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. I'm saying it's gonna come full circle and it's gonna happen, and here it is. They're gonna do it. They're gonna do the thing that I want them to do.
I do expect it to be there. I do not expect it to come out this year. I think they'll be there. They're gonna show it. It's not gonna be this year. I didn't predict anything about Breath of the Wild 2 though. I did predict though that regardless of Breath of the Wild 2's attendance, whether it's there or not, we are going to get at least one more Legend of Zelda game that launches in 2021. It can be anything. It could be the Zelda 99 type deal, the Zelda 35, like Mario, whatever, Battle Royale type deal. It could be, have you ever seen that Breath of the Wild demake thing that they made?
Yes. Yeah.
Like, they made that. Why? I feel like they would want to put that out. Like, it has to be, and they showed only a small part of it, but they went on record saying that, like, there was a pretty big piece of that game that was made. So I would think, like, why wouldn't you want to put that out and charge money for it? And for Zelda's 35th anniversary, nonetheless. Like, even if it's not the full Breath of the Wild, even if it's just, like, one Divine Beast or something, it still would be cool to put that out.
Oh, yeah.
So it could be something like that. But I think we are going to definitely get at least one more Legend of Zelda game released this year.
God, I hope it's excuse me. I hope it is a remake of the Oracle games in the style of Link's Awakening, the toy style. I'm not making that a prediction because I don't think they're going to do it. Especially because I think those games are technically made by Capcom. They were like partnered out or something. But man, I would love it if they did that. My next prediction is that it is the redheaded stepchild's anniversary as well. They're not going to get the limelight like Zelda's going to, but I do think that we are going to get a first peek kind of deal, not a full trailer, but more than a title card, and obviously no date for Metroid Prime 4 since Retro took it over, because it's been a hot minute since they did, and I know that they've been working on it. And it's Metroid's, I think, 35th as well anniversary. So I just think that we have to get some kind of nod or mention.
So this is my last prediction, kind of goes into some of this too. There are a lot of rumors, like rumors that are substantiated somewhat by reliable leakers and reliable rumor people, that we are going to get a Metroid game this year, but it's going to be a 2D Metroid game. It's not going to be Metroid Prime 4. And that there's another leak or rumor going around that the studio that did Mario Odyssey is working on a new Donkey Kong game.
Yes, I've seen that one.
And so, like, with that in mind, I didn't want to make any predictions about, like, necessarily Zelda, because we know that Zelda's going to be there in some way. Pokemon, like Ruby and Sapphire, or not Ruby and Sapphire, Diamond and Pearl, and Arceus are most likely going to be there.
Yeah.
If the Metroid rumors are true, that's going to be there. If the Donkey Kong rumors are true, that's going to be there. I didn't want to make any predictions about that.
Sure.
I do think that at least one other first-party franchise that is not rumored to be there, so none of those, will have a new title. Like a tentpole first-party thing. Like, it could be Kirby, it could be Star Fox, it could be F-Zero, it could be Mother, it could even be like a Mario Golf, or not Mario
Mother. Get the fuck
Mario,
out of here.
Look, there's been so much fucking talk about Mother recently. Nintendo cannot just ignore it. Fucking.
Did you see Reggie like trolled people about that?
Yeah. It's just like they know at this point. They know that there's an audience there, and that they know that like this is like okay now that Elden Ring is announced, and like we have information about it, it's a real game, and Cyberpunk is a year in the rearview mirror. The only thing left for like the games industry, like the people the gamers to latch onto for the dead series that we don't know anything about is fucking Mother. That's the last thing.
There's also unless I missed out on something, don't forget Half-Life 3.
No, that's true too. You're right. But yeah, it could be Star Fox, F-Zero. I would like even a new Mario game. Like it's been a few years since Odyssey. If they start to tease some of that, or a Mario spin-off game like a new Mario Kart, I think there will be one game that's there that none of us are expecting from a tentpole type franchise.
I agree, and I actually chose a game to get a sequel. Kind of based on a weird random one-off sale that happened, I think yesterday, that like sold out instantly. But also based on I don't know. We'll see how it works. But I think that the new game that's going to be announced that none of us expected is going to be a new Mario's and Rabbids.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think that that's coming because it's been a while since that came out, and Nintendo really doesn't have anything else that fits that like genre. And then Xbox and Nintendo kind of play nice if I'm reading the room right. Or no, Xbox,
Ubisoft,
Nintendo and Ubisoft, yeah. So
yeah,
I think that they're gonna want to continue that relationship, and I know that they made like DLC a year after the base game came out, but it's been a while since even that happened. So I think we're gonna get a new Mario's plus Rabbids.
That would totally make sense. Yeah, I definitely think that there's a sequel coming to that game. I would think that it might be a Ubisoft's thing, maybe.
I was tempted to put it at Ubisoft's thing. I really wasn't sure who would take the reins because, yeah, Ubisoft is basically making it, but Nintendo's so protective with Mario, so sure. I don't know whose show they would want to put it at.
If I remember how that worked last time, Miyamoto like came out of a tube or something at Ubisoft showcase, if I remember correctly.
That would make sense.
But obviously, since we're not predicting 4 press conferences this year, you'll get it either way. So,
yes.
As long as it happens, it happens.
Fingers crossed.
My final prediction for E3 2021 falls in the I don't know where the fuck this is going to be category. It could be at the indie showcase. It could be at either the Games Beat thing or the Games Spot thing. It could be in a lot of different places. But Telltale is back and The Wolf is Among Us. Proper trailer time, baby, for Wolf Among Us Season 2.
Nice. I sincerely hope that you are correct. And if you're not, I will blame you and be mad.
It's got to be close, right? And that happened at the Game Awards 2 years ago. So it's been a year and a half since it was announced. We got to at least get a trailer for it.
You're not wrong. My last prediction is in the indie realm. As much as I wanted to predict Silksong, I think that Team Cherry came out and said that they're not going to be at E3. So I was like, okay, well, if they said they're not going to be there, I'm not going to be like, oh, but maybe they're just lying to build up extra hype. Yeah.
They want to make it a surprise. I
think we're going to build on the vibe reveal and get maybe some gameplay reveal of Earthblade. Extremely okay. Their new game. I hope, because I like the vibe. And it's been a couple months since they released that vibe. And I don't know how much they had done before that vibe release, but I just want more of their stuff.
So there you have it. E3 2021 starts in less than 48 hours.
This isn't really a prediction. I mean, it kind of is, but it's not because Nintendo came out and said it themselves. And then people just think that they're lying, but I don't think that's the case. I really don't think we're gonna get any mention of the Switch Pro.
Oh no,
at E3.
No,
because everybody's like, "Oh, it's we're definitely gonna get it with all these leaks and everything." And I'm like, they specifically said that their conference is going to be heavily focused on software.
All of the rumors were that it was going to be dropped this week. Like the hardware announcement was going to be this week because at the showcase they were going to talk about Nintendo Switch Pro exclusive games.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen. I mean, theoretically, I guess they could drop it tomorrow. I don't think
that
they
people
would.
were even saying last week that it was going to happen last week.
Yeah.
It feels like every week for the past 3 months, people are like, "This is the week Nintendo is going to talk about the Switch Pro. They're going to announce it."
There's zero chance they're going to talk about it at the actual thing.
Yeah. So again, that's fiction. It's just I am believing Nintendo when they say they're not talking about it at E3.
Right.
In their roundabout way by saying we're only talking about software.
I do have 2 little bonus predictions. Well, actually, one of them is not really a prediction. One of them is just a plea. I have a plea. Have you ever heard of a game called Ooblets?
No.
It is an indie game. I don't even know the studio's name. They might be called Ooblet Studio. I don't remember. But it's like an indie game done by a very small game. It came out on Xbox and on Steam last summer. And
it's a double-playing game, it looks like, or at least they published it.
Oh, it was published by. Okay, that makes sense.
Developer is Glumberland.
So they put that game out.
Cute.
It's so fucking cute. I watched some streamers play it, and it's basically like a cross between. It's got a lot of like Stardew Valley type mechanics in it, where you're basically like cultivating these little creatures called ooblets, and the ooblets like have dance battles with each other to like have. It's so fucking cute and it's so charming, and I want to play it so bad, but it's only on Xbox and it's only on PC. I want it on Switch or on PS4.
Are you sure it's on PC?
Yeah.
Where is it?
It might be exclusive to like the Epic Game Store or something.
Okay, because there is on Steam. It's on Steam, but it says planned release date TBD.
It might be technically in early access or something. But when you go to their website, they have a FAQ, and on the FAQ it says, so I guess it is in early access.
Ooblets is our little studio's first game release, and we're really excited to have people finally play it. Oh, you guys, you're too cute.
Yeah, so there's one on there that says, "Will you release the game on the blank?" And then it says, "Maybe one day, BB, who knows?" That's like, I just want to play. I want to play it, guys. I want to play this game so bad. It's so cute, and I've been wanting to play it for over a year now. So if you guys could like come to the indie game showcase or something and announce a PS4/PS5 or a Nintendo Switch release, that would be great.
Yes.
Let me play Ooblets. Let Josh play Ooblets.
I would, I guess, if we're gonna put little pleas in here, I kind of already said mine, but please work with Capcom, figure out how to do it, and remake the Oracle games, a la the remake of Link's Awakening. I so desperately, I have them somewhere, but I never beat them. And if they were remade in the Link's Awakening style, I'd be all over that. I would eat those games up. It'd be so fun. So please, Nintendo, work with Capcom. Do whatever you got to do. You're both going to make money. It's the 35th anniversary. Please just re-release these games.
There are 2 other things that like, I guess talking about like rumored things or things that I guess they're just rumors. There's 2 other big rumors that I can think of right now. There are a lot of other rumors floating around.
There's so many rumors. It's overwhelming. That's why I was so like, it was so hard to make predictions because I was like, has this been leaked? Is this a rumor? I don't know.
Right. And everything all the rumored stuff we've talked about tonight is stuff that's come from people who like either Jason Schreier or people who have like historically been accurate
Yes.
It's not just from a Reddit thread. It's like from somebody.
A real person.
The other two things that everybody expects to happen, like these are things that everybody's expecting to happen at E3 this year, is that the IDOS game that is being announced at the Square Enix Presents on Saturday or Sunday, whatever day, they are announcing a Guardians of the Galaxy game from IDOS Montreal or whatever. So everyone is expecting a Guardians of the Galaxy, like, we don't know what the genre is going to be, but a Guardians game. And then
what if it was a rhythm game? That'd be kind of fun.
That would be fun. I don't think it would be. I feel like I don't know what it would be, because Avengers came out and it sucked. And like Square Enix, even though IDOS is not Crystal Dynamics, but they're still part of the same publisher. There had to have been conversations there about like, how do we do a Marvel game? I just hope that the Guardians game isn't just like another games as a service type game. I hope it's like, I don't even know what I really want it to be. But that's the rumor. And then the other thing is that what's the name of the studio that does like Mortal Kombat and Injustice? Neversoft? Is that Neversoft?
I think so. Let me Google search real quick. Who makes Mortal Kombat? God, there's so many. Who makes it?
Mortal Kombat, not the
Midway Games?
film. No.
Acclaim Entertainment. Am I looking at the right thing?
Mortal Kombat 11 is made by NetherRealm.
Okay.
The rumors are that NetherRealm is working on a Marvel game. So a Marvel fighting game, because they do fighting games.
Yes. What happened to Marvel vs. Capcom? Has that been dead for a while? I don't
There was
remember.
a game that came out relatively recently. Like sort of recently.
But this will be like a exclusive Marvel only.
Well, that we
Marvel
don't know.
Not versus something, but Marvel versus Marvel.
I feel like it'll be something along the lines of like Injustice, where it'll be a Marvel probably fighting game. What I hope it is, I don't think that there's enough power on the earth to contain this idea. But what I want is for them to take Marvel and for them to take Injustice and make Marvel vs. DC. That's what I want.
That'd be pretty cool.
That would be fucking cool. Do I think that's going to happen? No. But if that happens, that will be like, because again, we've talked so much tonight about stuff that I really feel like we all know what this E3 is going to be. Like, I don't know what they could show at these press conferences that would legitimately like surprise me.
Surprise people. Yeah. Which is what you want from these things. It's supposed to be like Christmas morning and you're opening presents.
Honestly,
you have no idea what's in them.
I was surprised by I really didn't think we were going to get Elden Ring, let alone an Elden Ring release date. Like, I actually, like, when Geoff Keighley started going on that thing at the end of his little spiel today, and he was like, it's from a game studio that's highly acclaimed, and they won a game award a couple years ago, like, my heart started going, oh, this is fucking Elden Ring. And then it turned out, like, that's what I'm waiting for. I want that feeling. I don't really know that there's that much that could be announced at E3 this year that will give me that. But if they give us a Marvel vs. DC game, I could see it actually happening. We'll see, though.
We shall see in a couple days.
Is there anything else about E3 that we did not talk about already?
I don't think so.
Let me ask you this question.
Sure.
What has to happen? Because we've talked at length on several episodes over the past year. Is E3 necessary? Do we need E3? What has to happen at E3 this year that will like leave a good taste in your mouth or say, you know what, that was worth it. Like, this was a good thing that's needed in the games industry. Like, what saves E3? What would have to happen?
I think it's those moments that we were just talking about, those surprise moments. There need to be enough of those and for them to have a substantial effect. They're already, as far as I'm concerned, they are starting in the hole by having 25 goddamn conferences. Just that alone makes me not want to watch.
Yeah. And like more than half of them are only scheduled to be like
me.
10 or 15 minutes. But like
don't do that.
To put up a name like Freedom Games and expect me to have a connection to that or like want to tune in because it's labeled as Freedom Games, like that's not the way to do it.
No. Don't put, no offense to these Freedom Games and all these other people, but they should not be holding the same weight on a calendar, on a schedule that Xbox and Bethesda and Nintendo. Like, you are small fish. These are sharks. These are whales. Right. These are large sea creatures. You do not belong at the same level. And
in my eyes, and maybe there's research or data that says otherwise, but in my eyes, this doesn't help them in any way because, like, if PlayStation doesn't want to be at E3 because PlayStation feels like their press is being drowned out.
Yeah.
Then how the fuck is Freedom Games supposed to stay afloat? If PlayStation isn't staying like if it doesn't make any sense. It's one thing to have your games, like if for Freedom Games, if they were to have one of their games in the middle of Nintendo's, like if they were a part of Nintendo's little indie sizzle reel montage that I'm positive they're going to have. That's one thing because it's a piece, like Nintendo is elevating that game.
Yes.
By having it at their thing. And then you get the press because your game was elevated. But to have it be
and now
separate,
when everybody who didn't tune into E3 searches, hey, what did Nintendo do? Your shit is coming up too.
Right.
Nobody's Googling, hey, what did Freedom Games talk about at their E3?
Right.
I missed their 10-minute spiel.
Yeah, to have and each of the, like you mentioned, I forgot what even the one you looked up was at this point, but like they had 9 games they were talking about. Yeah. Like that's way I can't remember the 9 games that were in the sizzle reel in the middle of the Nintendo Direct Indie thing. How am I supposed to remember 9 games in addition to Freedom Games 12 games, in addition to Ven's games, in addition to whatever Verizon is doing? Like,
yeah,
it's like that can't be helpful. Like there's something to be said about having your game at E3. Like if your game is at E3, that means something. It might not necessarily mean something down the road if E3 continues to go downhill, but for right now, having your game at E3 means something. But I don't think in the long run, having a standalone press thing is going to be beneficial to those games because it's just going to get drowned out.
You know what E3 feels like right now? E3 feels like the Nintendo eShop.
Yeah.
Where it's just full of what seems to be bloat. And sure, there might be a couple hidden gems that I'm like, okay, I'm actually glad that they did have their 10-minute thing. But it just feels like an overwhelming amount is going to be, not time-wise, because the big developers are the ones who are going to take up the most time, but in terms of just the number of press conferences, a majority of the actual conferences are just bloat.
We saw that today with the summer game kickoff live thing. I thought it started out really strong with the Borderlands thing or Wonderlands or whatever. Yeah. And then like the first like 3 or 4 things they showed I thought were really strong. And then for the next 45 minutes or so, it was, here's a Fall Guys costume, here's a Rocket League car, here's a whatever the hell. Like, the middle 45 minutes were nothing. And if that's what we're going to get for 20 out of these 25 press things, like presentations, that can't be good. No. So, like, not only... Here's the issue that I'm having with E3 this year. Is that usually we judge how successful E3 is based off of 7 or 8 events. And all 7 or 8 of those events are major publishers. They're all the big guns. Now we only have, 3 or 4 of those big guns? We have Ubisoft, Square Enix, Xbox / Bethesda, and Nintendo.
Yeah.
And then everybody else is a small person. So somehow 4 big publishers minus PlayStation, minus EA Activision, minus Activision Blizzard, somehow 4 press events are going to have to uplift 21 other ones. And that's if each of those 4 from the major publishers are like spectacular events, which at this point the jury's out.
Yeah.
So like, to me, like E3 just has everything stacked against it this year for it to feel like it's a magical thing.
Like
I'm sure there's going to be some really cool announcements. Like, I'm sure there are going to be some Gatorade Get Hype moments. I just feel like the event overall, it has so like, what's the saying? It's like, it's working at such a disadvantage. It has to climb a mountain to be able to like hold a candle to what this event could theoretically be.
Yeah.
So, and like, again, I don't think there's any, I doubt PlayStation is ever coming back to E3. Like, if they didn't do it this year when it was...
Based on this, no.
If they didn't do it this year when it was all digital, why would they come back to a physical thing next year, theoretically? I don't think they would. And then if we see, EA is not here, EA is doing its own thing. If next year Ubisoft just decides to, like, peace out, and at some point it just becomes Nintendo and Xbox basically holding down the fort, and Nintendo's always been kind of a foot out the door anyway. They could easily
Nintendo's literally phoned it in forever now. They don't even really show up. They just say, "Hey, here's our group project. We recorded it. Just play it whenever."
It'd just be Xbox then.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think for E3 to be successful this year, those 4 press conferences in particular, Ubisoft, Nintendo, Xbox, Square Enix, have to be bangers.
Yes.
And then of all of those other 20 little events, there need to be like a few like really cool announcements that we wouldn't.
There need to be like
gotten.
5 memorable things that actually stick with you.
Like third-party things that would have been at PlayStation or would have been at EA's thing, or not at EA's, but maybe PlayStation's thing.
Yeah.
Like, we need to see some of those little events or like those other things. I fully expect, and this is maybe just my negativity, but I fully expect to come out of E3 this year not as high as I've been in the past. And I feel like every year it's just gotten lower and lower and lower.
No, I totally agree. 100%.
I would much rather them just dissolve it and have like Summer Games Fest, I think is fine. As long as like every publisher puts out a direct over the summer that they would have done at E3 on their own terms, I think that's a better product. I think PlayStation has figured it out. Like, Nintendo started it, and I don't know. I guess we'll see. We'll see next year with it coming back theoretically in person what this really looks like. But
yeah,
I don't have positive feelings about it.
I don't either.
And on that note, this has been the E3 episode of the QuickTime Event Podcast. If you liked what you heard, you can find this podcast live on all of your favorite podcast services on YouTube and on twitch.tv/QTE Plays every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We will be back next week on Tuesday with QuickTime Event Plays Persona 4 Golden. That will
P4G, we're making progress.
We are in the final throes of that game. We will most likely do a little bit of talk about E3 kind of offhand during that Let's Play.
Oh yeah,
if you
it's going to be it's unavoidable.
And then we will go and do a play-by-play recap, react of E3 next Thursday on the podcast. So the next podcast episode will be a recap of E3. And yeah, we're off to the races. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your listenership. We will see you all next time. Have yourselves a fantastic weekend.
Peace out.
Bye, friends.